Hey everybody, I'm Charles Morgan from Comic Week, and I'm here at Alpha Comics with Alex Smith, who's just spent the last few hours opening up all the boxes that Diamond had shipped with all the new comics that you're going to want to grab in a few hours when the doors open. A lot of really cool horror titles. It is October, and a lot of what I would call fan service titles from some major superheroes, some really cool covers that are out this week, the conclusion of a couple major events.
A lot of beginnings and a lot of endings.
That's comic books for you, isn't it?
Oh, God, yeah, who are you telling?
So one of the first things I think that you're going to want to look for when you go to your shop or Alpha tomorrow is the 3 Mary Jane covers that are out, including one for Amazing Spider-Man, which I think is one of the most attractive covers I've seen from Spider-Man in a while.
I would argue that it is also the most appropriate one to have Mary Jane on. The other ones, for the other titles, I'm kind of like, I'm sure she does indeed exist in that world with those people, but why?
So you're not buying the Mary Jane Loki connection?
I'm absolutely about the Miles Morales Mary Jane cover, because first of all, it also looks great and it's very sweet.
Very playful.
But the Mary Jane Loki one, I have several questions. One of which, how is she breathing in space? Which is sort of the penultimate one for me.
That's kind of like an American Bandstand episode from hell, I think, or something.
It is, but it's like they're like jazzing out on the Rainbow Bridge, and I have much questions. One of which being, when did they meet? How did they foster this friendship? And the fact that that is not included in this title angers me immensely.
Well, if you ever shipped Loki and Mary Jane, there's the cover for you.
Yeah, this is absolutely like someone woke up today, saw that this cover existed, and was like, my time, it's here. Like sort of how I felt with Quentin Quire and Gwenpool back in West Coast Avengers. I was like, it's real, my fan fiction.
Well, Gwenpool had her moment with Mr. Fantastic earlier in the month. So.
Oh, let's not go into that, please.
So, Joelle Jones and Laura Allred are back for Catwoman. This is Catwoman number 16. The last 2 issues were by Ram V and Mirka Andolfo. Mirka is one of my favorite artists of late. But this is always a cool story. Catwoman's been done very well. If you watch any of our videos, you know that I love Catwoman. So I'm excited to pick up.
Biased.
Yeah, I'm excited to pick this up. This is the variant cover, the deceased variant cover. It is not a glossy cardstock photo, so it does cost the same $3.99 that the standard cover costs. And another title I love, and I'm completely biased in favor of, is Black Hammer. And Black Hammer Justice League is out with their latest issue, where we get to see who's been causing all the problems. And do you know who it is?
Who has been causing all the problems? I feel like this is the kind of thing that needs to be revealed dramatically to me.
Yeah, right. So it's, of course, it's Mr. Mxyzptlk. Is that how you say
Mr.
it?
Mxyzptlk.
Yeah.
Which is how I have always learned to pronounce it. We need to try to say his name backwards.
Yeah, well, he needs to try to say his name backwards. They're never going to solve this problem.
You sounded a little bit like, yeah, his mom needs to say his name backwards.
Right. Well, you know, I'm stern uncling the storyline. But yeah, this is the latest issue. Of course, you know, the Justice League is in the Farm universe, and the Black Hammer heroes are in the DC universe, and they have to figure out a way to get back. The very magic that they use could collapse the entire universe, so we'll see.
You know, it could go super well, or the comic could just end really badly, really fast.
Right. So if Mr. Mxyzptlk is from the 5th dimension, is there a 6th or a 7th dimension entity to be even more powerful than him?
They probably would, but they would have so many apostrophes in their name that it would be impossible to pronounce.
Right. Well,
their name is just an apostrophe. It's like Prince's symbol, and why we had to all be like the artist formerly known as Prince, because nobody could pronounce what that thing was called. It's going to be that, but everyone's named like that.
Right. And Jeff Lemire's also announced on Twitter that he's starting his next Black Hammer series. He had the first page, the first point, first panel, and he hadn't written it yet. And I was like, more Golden Gale. That's what this page really needs. So I'm excited about this, and I'll definitely be reading it. What else are you checking out this week?
So one of the things, going back to like covers, that I'm really crazy about, I'm really excited that Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are having their own standalone, mostly because I love Poison Ivy very much, and I do not think she gets enough screen time. But like, they keep putting out these amazing covers of the two of them, and you know, obviously it's the same book, and they're just, you know, doubling up on covers, but like, this works on me. They look so good.
Right, right. Yeah, it's definitely very beautiful. And again, you know, you are paying the extra dollar for these because these are on the heavy cardstock, but
it's also harder to damage these books, I've noticed. These come way less likely to be damaged than any of the other stuff.
Right. I've been really jazzed about what IDW has been doing with Usagi Yojimbo, so Stan Sakai, of course, has come back to write some new stories. He has an entire back catalog of his original works that I'm told at some point is going to be colorized and put in the IDW series. But so far, these have been new stories, and so I'm really excited about this. These covers have always been great. I mean, so this is a really cool series. Is it selling well for you guys?
Usagi Yojimbo has like a very dedicated fan base, so it's one of those things that we always can really reliably order a very specific number of it, because even if I don't have people walking in being like, so what I want is like feudal Japan but rabbits, but the people who do like have like Usagi Yojimbo on their radar come in like 3 months ahead of time and they're like, I need this on my pull list immediately, and it's like, all right, I can do that. Don't hurt anyone.
That's a good thing about having pens and paper. You can write these things down.
Yeah, it does. But honestly, Usagi Yojimbo's like, I'm really surprised, like not surprised, I'm very impressed that they've been able to like hold the fan base that they've had, because Usagi Yojimbo's been around for like a while.
Since 1982. So. Another title that's really cool is Amazing Fantasy, number 15. This is, of course, the facsimile edition. These, of course, are reprints with all the original artwork and the ads and everything to recreate that classic issue experience. This is Amazing Fantasy number 15. This is the start of the Silver Age, one of the most important comic books published in the 20th century. And so you get a chance to get a nice reader copy for $4 and get to see it. And like we see these come up for auction, even in like really cruddy condition, in 3s and 4s, selling at Heritage for, you know, several $1,000s.
I mean, it's one of the most important comic books in comic history. Like, that image is so iconic that I would be honestly surprised if it didn't.
Right.
Honestly, one of the things I'm most excited about for the facsimile editions is they kept all the ads intact, and I'm such a vintage ad junkie. That I can look at all of the old, like, hey guys, are you having trouble being a skinny nerd? Here you go. Read this book and listen to these cassette tapes, and you will become the strongest man alive. I think there's one that has like the dude like kicking sand into the smaller guy's face, and then like he gets bigger, and then the girls that were over at like Beach Bully are now hanging off of him. Right. And I'm like, yeah, that's how that works.
You gotta become a Chad. That's just the moral of the story.
Yeah, that's oh, that phrasing hurts me.
All right, so another thing, getting into like what's coming out this week. There's the final of the 12 issues of House of X and Powers of 10. So these are a couple of the variants, or many variants that are coming out. So this is Powers of 10 for Marvel. So this is the end of that transitional period where Marvel is like reimagining the X-Men and what they were going to represent going forward. There's going to be a start of a brand new X-Men saga that's coming very soon. So this wraps that up. Have you been reading these? I
have been. I'm actually really excited. I mean, so I felt like gold and red and blue were fine, but I felt like it got too bloated, and they didn't have a lot of good direction. But I feel like if they can kind of keep to what they've been doing with House of Powers, this new X-Men series is going to be really, really good.
Yeah, for me, like what they've done with Magneto, Professor Xavier, and Wolverine have been the most exciting elements of it for me. A really strong foundation for what they can do in the future.
I mean, truthfully, like in my opinion, I mean, you know, for what it's worth, I think that the handling of Magneto is the best way to see how a title is going to be managed as far as X-Men goes. Like, I mean, it's not super difficult, in my opinion, to write like Wolverine and Mystique and Gambit, but if you can get Magneto, who's a very complex character, right, I feel like you've got a really solid foundation for an X-Men series. Also, I have a very regular argument about how I think the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants really just suffers a PR problem.
Right.
Above anything else.
I mean, Magneto really does have a point.
Yeah, he does. Like, I mean, in some of his iterations, he's been a little more intense than I would like. But like, his argument is not wholly out of left field. I feel like he just went like, yeah, and we're going to call ourselves the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and I'm like, was that voted on? Did you guys like have a committee discussion, or were you just like, anybody who's wearing a watch, I can rip their hand off now, so this is what we're going with?
Yeah, that kind of is a new Coke kind of thing to go down.
It really is. Although I don't know, I don't know if you would appreciate that kind of capitalist comparison. is.
So there's a new. It just seemed like the other week there was a Harley Quinn Black Label story, but there's actually
That's because there was.
This is actually a second one. This is Joker Harley. Yeah, and so basically the story that's being told in this Black Label series is Harley basically pursuing the Joker, going through, learning about him, dealing with his crimes. They're very gruesome, sort of as gruesome as the Joker film that's in the theaters now. And so you see her descent into insanity, where she takes on this persona of Harley Quinn, and you get to see her, earnestly trying to do the right thing, and then just how maddening the Joker is.
I'm really excited to read this. I'm one of those people, I really, really hate when people are like, man, Joker and Harley are relationship goals, because I'm like, no, please don't say that. That is the worst thing in the world. He is the literal worst. And I'm really interested in seeing sort of how that happened, because normally when they tell the story of it, they're kind of like, she was a psychiatrist and worked on his crimes, and then all of a sudden she was also doing crimes, and I'm like, I feel like there's like a chapter missing, and I'm kind of hoping that this fills that in for me and lets me really like look into sort of the psychology between the two of them, other than my knee-jerk just screaming no repeatedly at the comic book.
Right. Yeah, and Harley Quinn only works as a character if you build in the fact that she was a smart, professional woman, highly trained and dedicated to her craft, and then it still went wrong for her.
Yeah, I'm really interested in like Harleen Quinzel over Harley Quinn.
Right. So let's get into some more number ones. There's quite a few, as there tend to be. Here's a really cool Craig Thompson title that's coming out. Of course, it's in a smaller format. This is called Ginseng Roots. Got to flip through it. It starts with a Herman Hesse quote, so it's not necessarily going to be the lightest fare, but it seemed like it dealt with a lot of things involving childhood and some actually comic book reading in it. There's a cool sequence with a spinner rack. So I'm definitely going to pick this up. It's got a little bit of an Asian twist to it, but yeah, Craig Thompson's very important. He usually does a lot of graphic novels, so this is really cool, and this is from Uncivilized. If you're into 80s nostalgia, like I am, because I actually lived through it, there's... I
was there.
I was there. There's Cobra Kai. The Karate Kid saga continues. This is supposed to be in the continuity of the Karate Kid universe in the films.
In the vein of, hey, let's look at the villain's perspective on this.
Right. There's a little sad Johnny sequence that's sort of the other side of what happened at the beach there with Allie. So if you're really into the Karate Kid like I am, and like know all the music and cried when
you say know all the music, over. I know you're the best around. Right. That is the extent of my Karate Kid soundtrack knowledge.
Think about all the great soundtrack songs from the 80s. I mean, but anyway.
Yes, there are several, but You're the Best Around is probably one of the best ones.
The Glory of Love, I think, even better. Or is it The Power of Love? The Glory of Love? Wait,
which one are you talking? Are you talking?
Glory of Love, yeah.
Okay, because I was about to be like, are we talking about like from Back to the Future? Because that's The Power of Love.
Yeah, that's Huey Lewis. No, I wasn't talking about that at all. We got Ruby from DC.
Ruby is actually a really big title for a lot of people. It is based off of this animated series from Rooster Teeth that's been around for a while. And it's basically, the overall sort of plot is that there are these horrible monsters all around the world called Grims, and these people who train to be hunters or huntresses who, kill them. It's kind of like a much lighter, but not as much lighter of Attack on Titan in the way that it's like bad monsters learning to kill the monsters. It's actually very like emotionally sort of poignant as far as like the animated series goes, and I know a lot of people who are really jazzed for the comic.
You know why I'm jazzed for it? Mir Gandolfo draws it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is incredibly gorgeous on the interior art.
Warren Ellis is going to do a 12-issue maxi series called Batman's Grave.
I'm actually really excited for it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, this is like dark, smart Batman. So
my favorite Batman, yes.
Right. So there's that. Also, there's several variants for this. This is Joker.
Yeah, the Year of the Villain, the Joker. I've got a lot of people who are like really excited for this, but I also have a lot of people who are like anything the Joker is in, they're like kicking in the door. But this one like looks really, really solid. I'm looking at like, oh, Joker Harley, about how he completely twists her psyche. He's a bad person. Oh, look, there's more things with him in it.
Right. Bad dude. And then speaking
also,
of this is my favorite Joker cover, I think, of the week. This is from the Secrets of Sinister House, and just look at his face there. I mean, that's straight out of like the 1970s.
This is his
titles.
version of like House of Secrets.
Right.
Although I can't get over a Joker cover of the week. Like, there's just so much Joker stuff right now. They're like, the Joker cover of the week.
I would consider the Joker probably the quintessential unreliable narrator when it comes to telling a story.
Well, that's actually, there was a whole video on the Joker movie that just came out.
Right.
There's a whole video about how it's actually from the Joker's perspective, and he's an unreliable narrator. There's a whole like game theory thing on it, and I was watching it and I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's some
All
deep
right.
stuff. So we got some indies. We got Shoplifters Will Be Liquidated.
I want to sort of just like, I think most shops should just like frame it and like put that up.
As a small business owner, you can kind of sympathize with the title.
I mean, honestly, we have really like honest, good clientele, but there's a part of me that just wants to frame it and put it up as like a lark.
Right. Superior AOC. I don't know if I co-sign off of that blatant posterior shot.
It's a very lovingly rendered backside, yes.
Right. And we have the Hatchet Halloween Tales with a
great homage cover.
Great homage cover there, and that of course is The Shining with a little bit more bludgeoning going on.
Just a little more eviscerating, honestly.
Another Marvel villain, Dr. Doom. He gets his #1. This is a great cover.
It's a great cover, but Victor Von Doom is one of my favorite villains, so I'm like super jazzed that there's more stuff for him.
Is he really a villain?
I mean, yeah, he's literally like he's what I use when I try to explain what lawful evil is to people who are new to D&D, because he has a very strict legal code and a very strict moral system that he follows. It's just immensely self-serving and kind of morally bankrupt.
And he got his doctorate from Pepperdine in philosophy. So I don't think so. We have from Boom Studios, this is HELLMOUTH #1. You get to see Spike, and you get to see Buffy and Angel, and they're like trying to stop Spike from opening up the Hellmouth, which is like not a good thing in the Buffy universe to happen.
I mean, look, I'm going to tell you, I'm a Spike stan all day.
Right.
I mean, like, Angel's whatever, but like Spike all day. He's like, I think I'm going to open the Hellmouth. I'm like, you do that, hon. You do that. You open that Hellmouth.
James Marsters, you crazy. So for our giveaway this week on Comic Week, we are giving away a copy of Uncanny X-Men number 230, the CGC 9.4. White pages, all you gotta do is go to our contest page and enter. We'll do our drawing next Tuesday. Last week we gave away Daredevil number 63 and a CGC 8.5. So you never know what we're gonna have, and that does it for the giveaway. And we'd like to thank everybody who's liked or commented on our videos, either on the Alpha Comics page or on our Comic Book page or on YouTube. We really appreciate it. And if you've come into the store and picked up some comics, I know Alex and Brianna and Norman definitely appreciate that. So anyway, that does it for this new Comic Book week. Your wallet's going to take a beating, and that's the way it goes if you're in this hobby. So we'll see you next week, guys.
Y'all take care.